What's up? Hello, my name is Liz and you're watching For Booking Out Loud. So as a warning, I am pretty tired today, but I really needed to film this video, and so we're just going to keep going and I will try my very best to get this on its way. What, 1 minute? Hopefully that's fixed it. But as a warning, I'm pretty tired today, but I'm going to try to get this filmed and we're just gonna see how this goes. YouTube, right? YouTube. But today I am going to do the Efftup Book Tag. I was tagged about a month ago, sorry, by Drawn to Stories, and I'm finally getting to it, so thank you. The original is by GuiltyFeat, and of course all their information will be in the description box down below. Please go check out Drawn to Stories. He is honestly an amazing booktuber. He's fairly new and he just has some wonderful content. But on to the tag. It has 10 questions, and I honestly have to say this tag is really difficult, actually. I do admit I read some very interesting books, but I don't know if I read effed up books, if you know what I'm trying to say. This tag, from my understanding, is all about books that are just wrong. And so I really had to search my book history, my reading history. And some of them I'm stretching a little bit, I have to admit, to answer these questions. And then some of them I forgot they were there until I looked into my history and I was like, oh yes, this one fits for this guy. But let's just get into it. So question 1 is a book that was effed up in a good way. And some of you might have seen some of my recent videos, but I have recently read Cannibalism by Bill Schultz. And it is a nonfiction book all about the history of cannibalism, not only in animals and their biological need to cannibalize, but also in humans and the cultural aspect and the necessary aspect of cannibalization. And also he kind of predicts the future of human possibility of cannibalism. I absolutely loved it. I'm weird. And it also just goes to show there's a lot of interesting aspects of world biology. I don't know how to put it, but it was pretty interesting. And I have to say, people were giving me weird looks while I was reading it. Will not lie. So effed up in a good way, most certainly. The second question is going to be a book that was effed up in a bad way. And let's just put it out there. 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. I absolutely loved this book when I was really young. And looking back on it, especially now as a teacher, and we're gonna just completely ignore the TV show in this, of course, but the book itself, I think there's many things that are wrong with it. And as a teacher, I don't think it promotes a lot of good things that are out there in a high school setting that kids can go to if they're dealing with a crisis. And so I think it just is not a good book. And it gained a lot of popularity for not good reasons. So effed up in a bad way. All right. Number 3 is going to be a book that everyone loved, but that you think is just effed. And so this one is more for a personal reason, and we'll get into it, but it is going to be Into the Wild by John Crocker. I am so sorry for that pronunciation. But I do think it's a great book. It fundamentally is a great book. But I put this in a category, this was one of my reaching ones, because it hit a little too close to home for me. It is about a young man. It is a nonfiction book. Let's just put that out there. It's a nonfiction book about a young man who decides to leave everything behind after he graduates college and to travel the world on nothing. And then after a year or so, he goes up to Alaska and he gets stuck during the winter in Alaska with practically nothing, and he ends up dying because of various reasons, let's just put it that way. And I was reading this book, and the reason it hit a little too close to home is because a lot of these things in this young man's life were very similar to my brother's. He graduated from a university in Georgia, and my brother is currently going to a university in Georgia. He's very adventurous. He thinks the world is wrong and he wants to change it, but he decides in order to change it, he just goes on adventures. He's very fearless and he doesn't think anything wrong can happen to him. And I just saw a lot of my brother in this main character, and it really got to me, and I was not okay with that. And that is why I think that book is effed up. And honestly, I'll never read it again after that single read. Just gonna put that out there. So very personal reason on that one. But it is a good book. Oh, I'll just put that out there. It is a good book. All right. And then number 4 is Sexy A Efftup, which I was confused on this one, to be honest. And so I'm just going to leave it blank. I have no answer for this. I don't read a lot of books that are romance. I'm trying to get more into romantic books that are just solely romantic books, and that leaves a lot of steamy books unanswered for as well. So I just don't have a good answer for a sexy effed up book. I apologize. And then number 5 goes into Effed Up for Kids. And I'm just gonna put this out there. Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. I had to read this one for school. I believe it must have been elementary school because I don't remember reading it in middle school. But it's just wrong. I think okay, let's backtrack. Any book with animals in it that makes you absolutely love these poor animals, and then they die doing valiant deeds, heroic deeds, and it's just devastating. And then having it just be a genre for kids or young adults, it's traumatizing. And Where the Red Fern Grows, it's ingrained in my mind because not only did I have to read the book for school, and I can't remember exactly when I read it, but I do remember not only reading the book, but watching that movie. Traumatizing. Very, very traumatizing. If you are a teacher or a parent of young kids, never let them read this book or watch the movie. let's just put it out there. Because not only one dog, two dogs die. Okay? Okay. I might really like dogs. Let's also just establish that as well. All right. And then number 6 is very similar to the last one, especially the last pick. It's an Efftup classic. And I could have chosen something like Heart of Darkness or Othello, right? No, I had to think about Bridge to Terabithia because Where the Red Fern Grows kind of led me on this tangent of different children's classics I read. And Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson was a book I had read by myself. It was when I was really getting into reading by myself, and I had no idea what the book was about. I had just picked it up from my library, my school library, and it looked like a fun book between two young kids exploring the woods, and I was young and naive, and I was ruined. And I think what really, really got to me was that the boy blamed himself for the girl's death. Spoiler alert, I guess. Yeah. But it's a classic, yes. But to say, again, it's a classic for kids. Why? Kids dying. Why is that a good thing? Why does that need to be in a book? I'm just saying. All right. Number 7 is Efftup in translation. And this is another recent read for me. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I buddy read it with Amy from A-Star Reads, and honestly, very interesting read. I will give it that. Pretty awesome book. We had a revelation when we talked about it for that last one, and it's a beautiful, beautiful book. But saying that, we were talking, and we really need to start having like a taboo bingo card, because when we're reading these books sometimes, it's almost like you get a blackout bingo. You get incest, you get a lot of things, okay? Let's just go with that. I don't want to ruin the book for you, but things keep coming up, and especially in this book, it's almost like no one bats an eye. Like, oh, this is a taboo thing? Sure, why not? Let's do it. Okay. So it's out there book, but still good. All right, then an Efftup nonfiction book is number 8. And for this one, I would have to say They Were Her Property, White Women as Slave Owners in the American South by Stephanie E. Jones Rogers. And this is a book I don't think I've talked about too much. I read it last summer, and I wouldn't recommend it. It's a very large info dump kind of nonfiction, and I didn't personally like the way that it was written. However, it was really, really interesting and effed up on the subject, and how the only way white women were really able to gain wealth were through slaves in the South. There was no way to own property anywhere in the United States at that time except through slave owning, and there were times where white women were more malicious and cruel and torturous than white men because they wanted to keep a hold of their property and keep gaining wealth. And so it was very interesting in that sense. And of course, effed up, hence why I picked that one for this prompt. So yeah. All right, on to number 9, an illustrated effed up book. Honestly, for this one, any of Junji Ito's work, I would, hey, they're right there. I don't know if I could pick up a certain book of his and say it wasn't effed up. Very horrific, which would make sense because he's a horror writer. And he is a master of his work, and definitely effed up in a good way, and definitely worth your time to pick it up if you are a horror fan. I never knew I'd like an author as much as I do. All right, and then finally, number 10 is Hanya Yanagihara's A Little Effed Up. I'm so sorry about that. A book that is just misery porn, solely designed to convince you how effed up the world is. I'm gonna be honest here, only one book comes to mind, and it might be an easy out, but I'm gonna say A Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult. This book is, I don't know how else to describe this book, but sad. It's about two sisters, one that's had a recurring cancer. I don't know if I need to describe it right. It's just about a sister relationship, and it's effed up. Like, who thinks of these things? And honestly, I was bawling my eyes out for half of the book. And as someone who has a very close sibling relationship, it's rough. It's a rough story, and it has a lot of, it's a lot of things. But let's just leave it as it is on the shelf. But that will be my effed up book tag. I hope you enjoyed it, at least a little bit. Books that, are good or bad, and books that I maybe would recommend or maybe would leave that alone, kind of thing. But if you are so inclined to take this tag on, I highly suggest it, because it definitely made me think, and it really made me review some of the books that I've read. So I'm not going to tag anyone specifically, but I do highly suggest anyone who's watching to do this tag. So thank you, Drawn to Stories, for tagging me. Sorry it has taken me this long. And for everyone else, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and comment your most effed up book down below, I guess. I will see you next time. Bye.